Welcome guys to another Let's Play. I am playing some My Lady. It's a game that's very similar to Seduce Me. It's made by the same person, so you can find it. I'm trying to remember if you can find it on the Steam. I don't think you can find it on the Steam yet. You might be able to. I can't remember. I'm sorry. But it's like 99 cents. It's really cheap. I've only played through part of it already, but apparently it's about a story. She's an aristocrat, and she's actually fallen in love with a butler. So what we have to do is either find a way for the butler to finally realize this and, approve, or we're going to go with some other person, one of our suitors. So let's get this show started, shall we? All right. Before your story begins, please tell us your name and the name of your butler. Okay? So I am going to go with Femme, as normal. All right, and our butler's name, Alexander isn't too bad. That's what they generally pick, so I actually like that name. So let's go with Alexander. All right, so you're Femme and your butler is Alexander. Correct. Now, please know that the story was made in RenPy visual novel engine with music composed by Christopher Escalante and voiceover by Bradley Gareth, Haydu DeVoe, and Jonna Scott. If I butchered any of those names, I apologize. We sincerely hope you enjoy the short story. Let's get the show on the road. Life's not fair, is it?
I'm not sure what you mean, ma'am.
It just isn't. I have riches and power and practically everything I could possibly want, but I don't at the same time.
You're getting You're being silly, ma'am.
This was my life. Whether I liked it or not, I was an heiress to a rich family. Splendid, no? To many women, this would have been a dream come true. Perfect way to spend life. However, it wasn't as loving as one would think. Sophie, I'm being serious.
Of course you are. I'm not saying you aren't.
You said I was being silly.
But I never said not serious, ma'am, did I? Aha! See, ma'am, I know you're serious. You're just being silly.
There you go again. Sophie was my personal maid, and despite her jokes, she was one of my best friends. She has been with me ever since I was a child and has cared for me like a sister ever since. Sophie has gotten me out of trouble so many times, even when I was at fault. It's a surprise that she deals with me.
Now, ma'am, don't get fussy. I was only fooling.
Still. I am right, Life isn't fair.
Life is never fair, ma'am. It gives you lemons when you want to make orange juice. That's how the saying goes, right?
It's when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, Sophie.
But what if I want orange juice?
Oh, you're kind of screwed. That's exactly what I mean. It's not fair.
Oh, ma'am, you're not talking about him again, are you?
Of course I was. He was all I could think about, all I could talk about. Alexander, my personal butler. Alexander was charming and handsome, sophisticated and sweet. He was practically everything I dreamed of in a man. Yet despite him being always in arm's reach, he was as far away as could be. He was devoted to being the perfect servant, even if that meant disobeying any romantic requests. I let out a sigh and looked to Sophie helplessly. I'm hungry, Sophie.
Oh no, ma'am, those puppy eyes won't work on me. I already got you an extra tray of biscuit cookies for your morning tea.
Alright, so now we got choices, but Sophie or fine. I'm gonna go with but Sophie.
None of that now. No whining.
Sophie!
Ah, fine. I'll make you some fruit sandwiches and tea.
Woohoo! Yay! Thank you.
Honestly, I spoil you.
You love me.
Yes, Mum, I love you. I'll be right back.
Sophie left me alone in my room, giving me time to think about Alexander while I sat at my study desk. He was barely 3 years older than I was, yet he acted like a proper gentleman. The way he smiled practically made my legs weak. His voice made my heart sing in long, blissful arias of affection. I was in love with my butler, and I didn't care. The only problem was that he couldn't love me back. Alexander was so invested in becoming the perfect servant that he denied any romantic gesture I threw his way. The mere thought of the last failure made me slump in my chair. Life's not fair. Suddenly, there was a knock at my door. I'm brooding. Leave me be. Or, who is it? I'll just do a who is it.
Your butler, miss. May I come in?
My heart stopped. It was him, Alexander. I felt pure elation bubble in my chest. Come in, please. The door opened to reveal Alexander, standing at full attention for me with a tray covered in letters in his hand. Excuse me, guys. He took a step into the room, closed the door behind him, and walked to the front of my desk.
My deepest apologies for the interruption, my lady, but I have some letters addressed to you. I came as quick as I received them.
Oh, thank you. Alexander gently placed the tray on my desk in front of me, revealing 3 letters. One had my family seal. One was pink and practically reeked of flowers. And the last letter was a plain envelope. Okay. So, let's see. Plain, pink, or letter with my seal. Let's try the plain. See what that one's all about. Carefully opened the letter with my letter opener. Took up the letter parchment. It was surprisingly pure white, despite being in a concealed envelope. Read the parchment's contents out loud. The lady exits the pumpkin carriage. Queen to Bishop. K. K? What kind of joke was this? Who was K? What was this K getting at?
A riddle, perhaps?
A riddle for what? This must be a mistake. Who sent this? I looked to the envelope, excuse me, the envelope for any indication of the sender, but the only thing on the envelope, besides for my address and name, was the giant K wax seal on the corner. Odd. Alright, now let's try the pink. Held my breath and opened the letter with my letter opener, taking out the letter parchment and reading the contents of the note. My dear Femme, my name is Isaac Newport. I know that you do not know me, but I hope to know more about you soon. I am currently in town this weekend and would like to request your presence for tea. Please write back soon, Isaac. Another damn suitor. Ugh.
A suitor? I'm afraid I'm unfamiliar with the Newport family.
Did I care? I wasn't interested in courting, especially with a man I didn't even know. Besides, the man I wanted to court was in the room with me, and that had already proved to be a difficult challenge as it is. I sighed and placed my hand on the middle of the note, ready to tear it in two. However, Alexander stopped me.
Miss, I would suggest holding on to that note.
Huh? Why? I'm going to turn him down.
Still, if you were to visit, you'll have proven knowledge of who he is rather than forgetting the future.
I sighed and placed the note in one of my drawers, to obviously be forgotten about later. And the last but not least, letter with my seal. Open the letter gently with my letter opener, taking out the letter parchment and reading its contents. Dear Femme, I will be returning home today from my business trip. Please make sure to clean yourself and dress properly for my arrival. We have much to discuss. Your mother.
Your mother is returning. That's wonderful news.
My mother had been on a long business trip that lasted about 2 weeks. Most likely, she would be staying for a couple days, and she would be off to another business trip that needed her attention. This was the norm with my mother. being that she single-handedly owned the estate. I had to admit, it was lonely without her. However, when she was around, it was stressful. She demanded perfection out of me beyond anything, hoping that eventually I would become perfect and proper young woman. I had just turned 17. She was perfect when she turned the age of 13. I apparently had a long way to go. Yes, wonderful. I sighed and slumped in my chair. My mother's returning. I have another damn suitor, and this letter riddle makes absolutely no sense. Today is starting off marvelously.
Is there anything I could do to make you happy, my lady?
Ah, so good choices. Please kiss me or no thank you. I'll pick please kiss me. Alexander cleared his throat, making me grit my teeth in my closed mouth.
I'm afraid I cannot, my lady.
Fudge. That was worth a shot. Why?
Because I am your butler, you are my lady, it would be improper.
Looked down at my desk. I wanted to protest, but after so many failures, I'd practically given up trying to fight his stubbornness. I stood and walked around my desk, wanting some fresh air. Tell Sophie that... Whoa! I suddenly felt myself falling, my foot slipping out from underneath me. Quickly grabbed for something and tried to maintain my balance. What I didn't realize was that I grabbed Alexander and had pulled him down over top of me. Happy accident. Ow,
My lady, are you all right?
He sounds flustered. I could say I am now, or yes, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go I'm now. Stared up at Alexander. Surprisingly didn't move. I enjoyed the sight a bit too much. I wished he was open to my affections. However, he continued staring concerned for my well-being. I was just fine, especially with him over me like this. The door opened again, forcing Alexander and me to look up towards it in shock.
Ma'am, I brought you... oh my.
This isn't what it looks like. I blushed a deep red. To have him on top of me was one thing. To have Sophie was another. To have Sophie see was another. Alexander quickly stood up and helped me up, gently brushing us both off as Sophie bit her lip with a grin.
No worries, ma'am. I didn't say anything, I swear.
I glared at Sophie, knowing she was stifling laughter. I looked at Alexander after sighing. He was completely straight-faced, as if nothing had happened between him and I. I sighed quietly to myself before looking back to Sophie. Sophie was slowly calming down from her hold on her laughter. She still had a cracked smile on her lips.
Well, if you both will excuse me, I need to prepare lunch for Lady Beaumont's arrival.
Alexander bowed to me quickly before exiting the room, closing the door behind him. As the sound of his steps disappeared, Sophie burst into laughter.
What happened while I was away? Were you trying to seduce him again, ma'am?
What? Sophie!
That was hilarious, ma'am.
I glared at her once again, making her stop and bring her laughter to a soft chuckle.
So, ma'am, I brought some sweet sandwiches and tea for you. Strawberries with a fresh hazelnut spread.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
My pleasure, ma'am.
I sat down at my desk and watched Sophie place down the plate of tea sandwiches and tea in front of me over the tray Alexander had brought me.
Any fancy mail today, ma'am?
Let's talk about the suitor. I have a new suitor.
Ooh, a new suitor! What's his name? What's his name?
Isaac Newport.
Newport? Has a Newport law affairs?
You've heard of Newport?
You're damn right I have. They're a new lawyer family coming up from out of nowhere. Only the peasantry like me know about them, though. They specialize in helping poor families with houses and such.
Is that so? It's very interesting. The Newport family was a new family to look forward to gossip about at parties and events. Hopefully there would be enough talk about them to ignore me. I wasn't a fan of the parties the rich families around me hosted.
Anything else?
talk about Kay. I received the strangest letter today.
Oh, what's up, ma'am?
It's like a riddle of some sort. The lady exits the pumpkin carriage.
A pumpkin carriage? Like in that Cinderella fairy tale?
I assume so. Then it says queen to bishop.
First fairy tales, now chess? What is this loony thinking?
I shook my head, unsure of how to answer. I didn't know myself. Letter was indeed odd, and if Sophie and Alexander couldn't figure it out, there was no way I was going to.
But that doesn't make a lick of sense if you ask me. Are you sure it wasn't a wrong address?
I took out the envelope to check once again. Didn't magically change, and it was still addressed to me. No, it was indeed addressed to me.
That's very strange, ma'am. Anything else?
And Mother. Well, my mother's coming home today.
So I heard! The kitchen hands are going crazy at the news.
They already know?
Of course! Abby practically memorizes your mother's schedules, that strange kitchen woman.
That is true.
Anything else?
No. I sighed and enjoyed my snack. The tea was almost perfect, and the sandwiches were very sweet. But I appreciated Sophie's work. Despite it being a mental task, she did it with love.
So, Mum, what are you going to wear for your mother when she arrives?
I sat in silence for a moment, contemplating on what to wear. I had many outfits, but I wasn't about to put on a fashion display for my mother. Stopping my snack, I looked to Sophie and thought. Dresses do you suggest?
Well, you could always wear the white one your mother bought from France. Then there's also the red one from Spain. That one looks good on you.
Red or white? It was a simple choice, but I almost felt like laughing at the choice itself. Something about it was hilarious to me, and I couldn't put my finger on why. I finally made up my mind and said, let's try, I want the red dress.
Ooh, very fun, ma'am. Won't your mother disapprove, though? She hates it when you wear red.
Should we stick with the red, or should we go with our mother's approval and go with white? I played it up to the point where the mother came, and I actually wore the white. I kind of want to see how the red plays out, though. So, I'm sure. Sophie nodded and got out my red dress from the closet.
As long as you're sure, ma'am. Let's get you cleaned up, ma'am. Then we'll get this dress on you.
Getting into dresses was a tiring process. First, I had to clean using an unnecessarily large bath to wash in. Then I had to be dried, which required both me and Sophie to do it in a reasonable amount of time. After that, I had to powder and put on my underclothes, which included a corset. Sophie, you're trying to kill me!
Just a little more, ma'am. Your mother would kill us both if we don't do this right.
Corsets were a pain. Then we finally got to put the dress on. It was easy to slip on, and it only took Sophie a minute to tie it up to fit me perfectly. I stood in front of my large vanity mirror, checking out my dress. I smiled at my choice. It was a lovely dress with satin and ruffles. I felt incredibly attractive in it, feeling a desire to flirt and mingle run through my thoughts. Sophie quickly found a red rose and tied it into my hair.
You look so pretty, ma'am. Men would fall to their knees for you.
Thank you, Sophie. You are the best. Sophie smiled and bowed to me graciously. I turned back to the mirror and stared at myself a little longer, wondering what Alexander would think of it. It was indeed eye-catching, and it made me feel incredible. The sound of horses made me quickly look away from the mirror to look at my window. I rushed over and looked out to see a large carriage stopping in front of the house.
Who's that? I don't recognize the carriage.
I don't either. I stared at the carriage a while longer, unable to tear my eyes away. Who was visiting us, and today of all days? The door of the carriage opened, and out stepped a handsome man looking to be around my age. He was dressed in casual suit with brushed hair and an anxious smile. As per his protocol, Alexander stepped out of the mansion and greeted him. They spoke to each other briefly before Alexander escorted him inside. What did this man want?
Ma'am, could it be the Newport son who sent you that letter?
Huh? Isaac? Why would it be him? Why would he even come?
He's come to court you! Oh my, this is exciting!
I quickly looked back to the carriage, trying to piece that logic together. He did wish to meet with me, but why come to my house? Was he that desperate? I sighed and exited my room with Sophie close behind. I felt the obligation to greet him creep into my gut, so I followed it all the way to the main lobby. I stepped into the lobby to see the man and Alexander conversing to one another. At the sound of my footsteps, however, they stopped and looked at me. Alexander cleared his throat.
Mr. Newport, may I introduce the current lady of the house, Miss Beaumont.
As I was introduced, I climbed down the steps of the grand staircase, reached the bottom, and walked over to where the two men were awaiting me with Sophie 2 steps behind me.
Oh, wow. Allow me to say you look absolutely stunning, Miss Beaumont.
Thank you, Mr. Newport. I presume according to my butler.
Yes, Isaac Newport. It's a pleasure to finally meet you at last.
He held out a hand, wanting me to place mine in it. Did I want to? My mother wasn't around, so I didn't necessarily have to be polite to that extent. But I have always been raised to be polite, so I am going to give him my hand. Or our hand. You flatter me. Thank you. Alexander looks a little peeved. I placed my hand in Isaac's, watching him smile gently before bringing my hand to his lips and brushing his lips over my knuckles. A gulp barely caught my attention, causing my eyes to quickly look over and see Alexander staring at my hand intently. What was he gulping for? Might I ask why you are here?
Oh, well, I was in town and I was passing by your estate, so I decided to come by and possibly meet you. Obviously, it was a good choice.
I see. Well, I'm afraid I usually deal with scheduled meetings. I'm not sure that I can entertain you.
Oh, no, I wasn't insinuating anything of the sort. I merely wished to stop by and meet you, that's all.
I understand. Well, since you did stop by, allow me to offer you some tea. I looked back over my shoulder at Sophie, who quickly nodded and stepped forward ahead of me towards Isaac.
Would you follow me to the drawing room, please? I'll prepare some tea and bring it as soon as it's ready.
Thank you so much.
I bit my tongue. Sophie was definitely a great actress around guests. Sophie and Isaac walked away towards the drawing room, leaving Alexander and me alone. I let out a sigh.
Is something troubling you, my lady?
No, I'm just surprised is all. Alexander nodded, standing at the ready for any instruction I had. Looked in the direction of the drawing room and bit my lip. I didn't want to sit in there with him, especially if my mother was coming home today. Who knows what she would think. Just my luck, however. Turned my head to the front door, hearing another set of horses. Alexander, please check who has arrived.
Yes, my lady.
Alexander quickly walked over and opened the door to see outside.
Your mother has returned.
I felt my heart stop. Was my luck just terrible today? Alexander quickly exited the front doors to assist my mother out of her carriage. I stood, knowing that my mother would want me to be at the lobby waiting for her. I felt frozen, unsure of how to explain the second carriage to my mother, who was very quickly on her way inside. It was a suitor, but I didn't want her to get the wrong idea. At last, my mother stepped into the lobby, with Alexander carrying her bags almost effortlessly behind her.
There you are. Punctual as expected.
My mother quickly stepped up to me and looked me up and down. I waited to see how she would respond. I wore red instead of white, but I was 17, almost 18. I was old enough to make my own decisions.
Why are you wearing the red dress?
I grimaced. I wanted to wear a red dress, Mother.
I should have you march back to your room and change. However, I don't have the patience to argue with you about this.
I sighed silently. I was never going to please her.
Now, can you explain to me why there's another carriage in the front?
I had to be calm. She had to understand that I was not interested in the suitor, nor did I invite him. Isaac Newport wanted to visit today, Mother. He was in town and decided to stop by.
And where is he?
In the drawing room, Mother.
I have no time for guests. I have much to do, and I won't have you entertaining guests without me.
My mother turned her head to Alexander.
Escort him out.
Yes, madam.
Alexander gently placed my mother's luggage down away from the door and quickly left for the drawing room.
Now, have you been keeping up with your studies?
Yes, Mother.
Have you been practicing the piano?
Yes, Mother.
Perfecting your handwriting?
Yes, Mother.
Good. Then we can discuss.
As she was about to finish her statement, Isaac and Alexander entered the lobby, walking towards the exit. Isaac stopped and bowed to my mother.
Oh, hello, Lady Beaumont. It is a pleasure to meet you.
It is a pleasure to meet you too, Mr. Newport. I'm afraid we have some business to attend to, so we cannot entertain you today. Feel free to stop by tomorrow.
I understand perfectly, ma'am. Please, have a good day.
Isaac bowed to my mother before smiling at me.
And a good day to you too, Miss Beaumont.
With that, he left and exited the mansion, with Alexander closing the door for him.
Mr. Newport, you say?
Yes, Mother.
He looked to be your age. Was he a suitor?
Crap. Well, technically, yes. We don't want him to be a suitor, but I guess, yes, Mother. I couldn't lie to her. She knew how to see through lies. Mother stared at me in thought before walking past me towards the drawing room. I sighed and followed suit. We entered the drawing room where Sophie was cleaning the tea Isaac was previously having.
Leave the tea. Bring new cups.
Yes, madame.
Sophie quickly left the room with the used cup Isaac had, leaving me and my mother alone. My mother sat down, waiting for me to sit across from her in the empty seat. Quickly obeyed her silent command to do so, looking to her and sitting up as properly as I could.
How old are you now?
17, Mother.
17 and still unmarried. What am I to do with you?
I bit my tongue. I knew better than to speak back to my mother when she talked like that. She'd been hoping one day I would marry, but it was becoming futile.
Anyways, I will be staying here for a couple of days to deal with some in-town business. I expect you to entertain Mr. Newport properly should he return. This goes for any suitor, understand?
Yes, Mother.
The dinner schedules will be upheld as I am here. If you are not at dinner during the scheduled time, you will not eat. Understand?
Yes, Mother.
Good.
My mother's strict, but for good reason. She wanted me to be a perfect lady, suitable for marriage, and upholding a family. Excuse me, guys. If I was a toe out of line, I would be lectured until I regretted ever disobeying. We drank tea, barely speaking to each other, before I was dismissed back to my room. Quickly stood, bowed, and left. Sophie followed behind 2 steps away from me. As I entered my room, I slumped and let out a tired sigh. So Mother's here. Wonderful.
Oh, come now, ma'am. You should be happy.
I walked to my bed and sat down, feeling exhaustion take over my body like a gust of wind. I thought of the suitor. He was polite, but was he really? He seemed young and bright, and it seemed like a good idea to try and be with him. It would indeed make my mother happy. On the other hand, I still liked Alexander. He kept me enthralled in his spell, and I didn't know how to proceed with him. Mother would never approve, but I couldn't deny my feelings so easily. I looked to the window. Life's not fair, is it?
You keep saying that, miss. If you keep looking at it like that, you'll never get oranges.
But what can I do? My eyes traveled down, wanting to land in my lap. However, my gaze stopped in an envelope stuck in the window. What is this? I stood and walked over to the window, taking out the envelope and opening it. Took out the parchment and read it aloud. The girl puts on the red hood, bishop to king. Okay. Again, another riddle. What was going on?
A riddle? The glass slipper bit talks about Little Red Riding Hood, but the second part talks about chess again.
This makes no sense.
Ooh, maybe it's a sign. Someone's telling you to,
I don't think so, Sophie. Was I sure, though? This note and the last were connected somehow, but I didn't want to blindly follow their messages. I guess I'll just wait for another one. If another one appears, try to sort this out. Something in my gut was telling me that these messages were meant to tell me what to do. Were they about Isaac? Or were they about Alexander? I felt tired just thinking about it. I gently fell back onto my bed, uncaring if my dress was still on, and let my eyes close naturally.
Ma'am, shouldn't you...
Shh.
Okay, Mom. Have a good rest.
I listened as Sophie left the room, leaving me alone. Kept my eyes shut, letting my exhaustion take hold of me and bring me to a world of sleep. I didn't mind that the corset binding me limited my breath. I felt at peace resting in my bed. Didn't even open my eyes until hours later when the sun was down. Alright guys, I'm going to end it here for this first half. I will be back with the second half. I'm actually going to record it right after the first. But I think I'll split it up on days. But I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye!